Part 36. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 351. Mazhikan has never been as embarrassed as he is today. In the cold wind of late autumn, I hurried forward one step at a time. From time to time, he met pedestrians on the road and cast him either curious or contemptuous looks. He didn't dare to stop until he reached a corner garden and caught a glimpse of a public toilet. Mazhikan ignored the dirt and ducked into a cubicle. Asterisk. Hu Switong sat happily on the leather sofa of Xiang Nainai's store, crossing her legs and drinking the tea brought by the SA, service assistant sales consultant. There are a lot of large and small shopping bags piled at her feet, with the logos of luxury brands printed on the bags. She has gained a lot today. Ms. Hu, I'm sorry that the season's new shoes haven't arrived yet. SA half knelt and said with an apologetic smile, however, this year's main pairs of shoes are suitable for you. Do you want to try them? Those are all old models from last season. I have them in every color. Hu Switong rolled his eyes. SA showed a troubled expression. I'm really sorry, I couldn't satisfy you. Hu Switong changed his position and crossed his legs. Then when will the goods arrive? I will go out of town in 3 days. The day after tomorrow, SA said immediately. You pay the deposit today, and I will personally deliver it to your house the day after tomorrow. Hu Switong snorted, took out the card given by Mazhikan today from his bag, held it between his index and middle fingers, and handed it to SA. I want every shoe in every color. Yes, Ms. Hu. SA went to swipe his card happily. Hu Switong took out his mobile phone and took a photo in the mirror. After editing the picture, I posted it on Moments. Caption. The Xiangnei specialty store in Maple City Financial Street is so unprofessional. The new product was out of stock, which made my trip in vain. Click to send. After a while, there were a lot of likes below. Old classmate, Mr. Hu has become prosperous, when will he bring his old classmates to take off together? A poor relative from my hometown, Zibao is really the best among people. When I was a child, I said that Zibao will make a lot of money in the future. She picked a few that she liked and started to reply. After a few replies, her cell phone suddenly rang. Before she frowned, she saw the caller ID clearly. Mr. Ma. Mr. Ma. Hu Switong hurriedly lowered her legs, bent slightly and shrank her shoulders, subconsciously putting on a slavish look, as if Mazhikan was in front of her. Mr. Ma, what do you want from me? Come get me now. Mazhikan tried hard to keep his teeth from chattering due to the cold. Ah. Hu Switong was a little confused, and he couldn't hide the reluctance in his tone. What? Is it inconvenient? Mazhikan's voice deepened. No, 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 nothing is as important as your business. There is nothing inconvenient. Hu Switong immediately adjusted his tone. Please send me your location, and I will drive to pick you up now. Mazhikan faintly heard the sound of music. It's the music that signals the mall to close. Where are you? Mazhikan asked. Hu Switong hesitated. Mazhikan knew what she was worried about. She must be afraid that he would criticize her for using public funds to buy things for her own use. This stupid woman knows how to take advantage of small things. Mazhikan's patience was approaching its limit. Unexpected surprise inspection, he ran away with his tail between his legs in a panic, and he had been freezing for such a long time. The floor of the toilet cubicle was extremely dirty and smelly. And this idiot is still making small calculations. He gritted his teeth and said, Are you in the mall? While the mall is open, go buy me a set of clothes. I want them both inside and out. Hu Switong quickly responded, Okay, okay, I'll buy it now. SA swiped the card, took the signature form, and stood in the distance. She noticed that Hu Switong was on the phone and didn't dare to disturb him. Hu Suitong stood up after hanging up the phone, grabbed the form in Sa's hand, signed it, and stuffed the card back into his bag. Then bent down to pick up the shopping bag, etc. If Maz Hekan sees her pile of things, he might punish himself. It's not convenient for me to take the things today, so you can send them home to me, Hu Suitong said. Sa said respectfully, okay, Ms. Hu. Could you please send it today or tomorrow? Hu Suitong rolled his eyes. Wait for my call and then arrange delivery. This is safer. Okay, Ms. Hu. Hu Suitong's eyes passed over Xiang Nai's men's clothing counter and hesitated. Finally, she walked out of the store and went to a domestic luxury brand on the second floor. Although it is not your own money that is spent, it is not much different from your own money. Moreover, I just spent so much money today to buy Mr. Ma a full-body fragrance grandma's outfit, let alone hundreds of thousands. I'm afraid the balance won't be enough. Half an hour later, Hu Suitong drove her mini sports car to the corner garden. She sat in the driver's seat and looked out the window in confusion. She saw no one. Is there a problem with positioning? Why is Mr. Ma in a place like this? She lowered her head and rummaged for her phone. Suddenly, the car door was knocked. Hu Suitong was startled, and was even more surprised when he saw the person outside the door. Why is Maz Hekan naked? No wonder I have to buy him clothes myself. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 352. Outside the car, Maz Hekan had a furious expression on his face and was still naked. To be honest, Hu Suitong didn't really want to open the door. But it's just a thought. Given her courage, she wouldn't have dared not open the door. She unlocked the door. Maz Hekan opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. Crap, he cursed repeatedly as his lips turned purple from the cold. Hu Suitong noticed that Maz Hekan's dirty and smelly feet stepped directly on the furry mats of her car. Moreover, Maz Hekan's entire body exuded the pungent smell that is unique to public toilets. Hu Suitong didn't pay attention, and there was a look of disgust between his eyebrows. This expression full of disgust completely angered Maz Hekan. Snapped. He gave her a big blow with his backhand. Did you leave your brain in the mall? Turn on the damn heating. Hu Suitong covered his face and quickly turned on the heater. After driving, he looked at Maz Hekan with a clear face. Snapped. Maz Hekan has another big fight. Where are my damn clothes? Are you a donkey? Are you going to move forward without being whipped? These two slaps were so heavy that Hu Suitong's cheeks bulged. She pouted her cheeks and said vaguely, in the back seat. Shivering, Maz Hekan turned back to grab the clothes bag on the back seat, pulled out a leather jacket, put it on directly, pulled the zipper to the top, and felt his body warm slightly. Hu Suitong was slapped twice in succession and was a little stunned. He stared blankly at Maz Hekan getting dressed. Maz Hekan got angry when he saw her stupid look, and his eyes instantly became fierce. Under such intense gazes, Hu Suitong felt like he couldn't breathe enough. Are you waiting for me to drive for you? Maz Hekan asked coldly. Hu Suitong quickly started the car. After the car had driven a few hundred meters, Hu Suitong asked fearfully, Mr. Ma, where are you going? This question really confused Maz Hekan. Do you want to go home? What if the inspection team is waiting for you at your door? He cannot throw himself into a trap. What exactly is going on now? Have no idea. He needs to wait for news and instructions from the boss before he can take the next step. As long as the situation is not right, he can find a way to escape from the country. Now, there really is a safe place to go. Go to your home. Maz Hekan said. Hiss. The small sports car braked suddenly. Emergency stop on the roadside. Hu Suitong's eyes were horrified and he turned to stare at Maz Hekan. Why go to her house? The sudden braking caused Mazhikan, who was not wearing a seat belt, to hit the front fender with a bang. What the hell? Mazhikan covered his forehead and looked at Hu Suitong angrily. Are you humming tired of living? Hu Suitong said tremblingly, Mr. Ma, my kennel is too small, you may not be able to bear it, I will take you to a 5-star hotel and open a presidential suite for you. Mazhikan intercepted her words, if you say another humming word today, I will throw you into the sea to feed the fish. Hu Suitong had no choice but to drive him to the underground garage of his home. Before getting out of the car, Mazhikan put on his pants and shoes. Hu Suitong carried a bag containing Mazhikan's new clothes and took him to the elevator. On the first floor, the elevator stopped and an old aunt walking her dog came up. Hey, isn't this Xiao Hu? The neighbor's aunt who came up said enthusiastically. As he spoke, his eyes kept scanning Mazhikan. Ah, yes, Aunt Lu. Hu Suitong smiled. Not to mention how dry that smile was. After seeing Mazhikan's appearance clearly, Aunt Lu showed an expression of disgust. Aunt Lu once introduced her son to Hu Suitong, but unfortunately Hu Suitong didn't like him. Look at Mazhikan again, he is far worse than his own son. Old and ugly. Aunt Lu stabbed her lightly, hey, I thought Xiao Hu had such a high level of vision. After finding such a thing. Mazhikan, who had always lowered his head, raised his head. A pair of eyes, like electricity, glanced at Aunt Lu. Aunt Lu was so frightened by this look that her whole body shivered. Her dog noticed its owner's panic and roared angrily at Mazhikan. Mazhikan showed his fierceness. Aunt Lu quickly held onto the dog leash until the elevator made a ding sound. Hu Suitong's home has arrived. She took Mazhikan out of the elevator. Aunt Lu pressed the door button of the elevator and muttered, what kind of saddle goes with a mule? Tisk, report it to the property management in a while, all kinds of monsters can enter the community. Hu Suitong turned the door lock and opened the door. Mazhikan pushed her away and strode in. He suppressed a belly full of evil fire. At the moment, he can't contact the boss. He could only wait for the boss to contact him. Looking up again, he saw Hu Suitong standing there with a smile on his face. Mazhikan never touched Hu Suitong because there were too many beauties and Hu Suitong was mediocre in appearance and he couldn't look down on her at all. But at this moment, Hu Suitong was the only woman. He needed to vent his evil fire. Hu Suitong's eyes shivered when they came into contact with Mazhikan's small crocodile-like eyes that shone with evil light. Come over. Mazhikan ordered. Hu Suitong didn't move. Mazhikan took a quick step over, grabbed her hair, threw her down on the sofa, and pressed on her. Only when the fist hits you will you know how painful it is. The brave who have been bullied by fists will arm themselves to protect the weak from being hit by fists. Ordinary people who have been bullied by fists will avoid danger and try to protect themselves from being bullied again. The villains who have been bullied by fists will raise their fists and swing at the weaker ones. Hu Suitong is the last type. She was beaten up by Mazhikan, and her whole body was in pain, and she was even more resentful in her heart. It must be that the bitches in the KTV didn't serve her well, so that Mr. Ma abused her. Next time, I have to find a group of brothers to teach them a lesson. After venting, Mazhikan's anger finally calmed down a little. At this time, the mobile phone on the coffee table rang. He rushed over, grabbed it and took a look. It was a text message from the boss. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 353. The boss was very frugal with words, and only wrote a short line. Reported by the masses closed for rectification already settled. Mazhikan breathed a sigh of relief. Damn. It was probably the old residents nearby again. This bunch of low-class people always find faults, saying that the KTV disturbs the public, sometimes saying that the colorful lights outside are too dazzling, and sometimes saying that the noise is too loud. However, in the past, when there was a surprise inspection, the higher UPS would say hello and give the KTV enough time to clean up. A trace of doubt flashed through Mohican's mind. However, he soon put his doubts aside. Anyway, the boss can settle any trouble as soon as he takes action. Mohican relaxed his mind and began to pick and choose. Hu Suitong's house was small and messy, with shopping bags piled up in the corners and piles of cosmetics on the dressing table. This woman is short-sighted. The money she spent on luxury goods was enough for her to buy a bigger house. Since it was safe, Mohican didn't need to wrong himself to stay in such a small house. Hu Suitong was bruised and curled up in the corner of the sofa. Mohican took a step towards her. She shrank back in fear. If you work with me, you have to be smart. Don't just look for small favors all day long. Mohican said, and then took out a card from his wallet. There is 200,000 yuan in the card, just as hard work fee. Hu Suitong's body didn't hurt anymore when she heard it. She staggered over and took the card with both hands. Thank you for your understanding, Mr. Ma. Mohican bent down to put on his clothes, and after getting dressed, he picked up Hu Suitong's car keys. Lend me the car for a while, I'll have someone send it back to you tomorrow. After saying that, he grabbed the keys and went out. Asterisk. Airport Expressway. Zhang Qilan wore a Bluetooth headset and talked to Cheng Ling while driving. So, he was the one who greeted the inspection team. Zhang Qilan frowned. Yes, Cheng Ling said, how many people in your bureau know that you are going abroad this time? Except my father, no one else knows my real purpose. Moreover, my destination is not H country, but Y country. Y country is located in the Caribbean Sea and is an island country. It has pleasant scenery and is a famous tourist destination. Y country is open-minded and is also called fatherless country because the country's illegitimate rate is as high as 80%. In addition, the country's economy is backward, the people are generally not well educated, open ports, and loose public security. This is simply a paradise for criminals. Y country has the highest crime rate in the world, coupled with rampant drug trafficking, voodoo and other evil organizations throughout the island country, and foreigners are robbed and raped by locals almost every day. Why go to Y country? Brother Lan, have you found anything? Cheng Ling asked sharply. Zhang Qilan's cold voice came through the receiver. Yes, I looked through the data of the past 10 years, combined with the key figures of this case, I found that in these criminal actions, country Y occasionally appears. Although the probability is very low, they are all key nodes. In addition, I also found a seemingly unrelated but actually very important information. Someone found the deceased H country actress, Nan Zian, in country Y. This person posted a post with several photos. The woman looks very hideous, with up to 80% burn scars on her head, more than half of her teeth have fallen out, and she has no eyebrows and hair. It is difficult to recognize her original appearance. Both legs and right hand were chopped off by sharp weapons. She was not conscious, and only a piece of her tongue was left. The poster said categorically that the woman begging on the street was Nan Zian. No one believed it. The poster's evidence is, Nan Zian has a red mole on her left rib. This woman also has an identical red blood mole in the same position. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 354. Cheng Ling knew what Zhang Qilan said when he heard it. Brother Lan, did you use software for comparative analysis? Is she really Nan Zian? Zhang Qilan said simply, yes. After software analysis, the similarity between the two people's skulls is as high as 99%. So, I went to look up information about her hanging herself. I found very little. The family raised questions because they did not see Nanxian's body. The H-country police cremated the body without the family's authorization. A person who was supposed to die inexplicably appeared in country Y thousands of miles away. This is definitely a deliberate arrangement. Therefore, John Killen increased the depth and breadth of information mining. I guess this is a way for them to divert the target person. Death, accidents, disappearances, can all achieve the purpose of hiding people's heirs. I searched for people from country H who had contact with relevant figures in the capsule incident in recent years, and who died unexpectedly or disappeared unexpectedly. Including but not limited to celebrities, internet celebrities, models, etc., including both men and women, there are as many as 32. Are they really dead? Or are they like Nanxian? Where will they be? There are serious suspicions in country Y and its surrounding areas. Chen Ling took over. Brother Lan, have you discovered anything? Yes. John Killen couldn't help but tighten his fingers on the steering wheel. There is an island in the southwest of country Y. There are often high-end cruise ships and yachts near that island. And some people have photographed many people from the upper class hanging around the island. That island is the property of an unknown wealthy businessman, and there are mercenaries guarding all entrances to the island. And the island adopts closed management. All communications are internal area networks, and there is no way to connect to the external network. I tried many ways to investigate more about this island, but none of them worked. Chen Ling suddenly spoke. The island you are talking about is called Golden Island. John Killen was stunned and asked, have you been there? No, Amos has been there several times, Chen Ling said, but he found some excuses to tell me not to show up near that island. I used to have a serious fear of the sea. There is no parking conditions on that small island, so I can only go there by yacht. I only know that the name of the island is Golden Island. It is a place for the upper class to have fun and vacation. The upper class has many ways to spend time. Closed management is also a way for the upper class to protect themselves. In addition, I have not heard anything about it. The special news did not attract my attention. Now, she understands. Baby capsules, the missing handsome men and beauties, were all sent to this island for the entertainment of the upper class. Here comes the problem. Is the big boss behind Mazhekan involved? Did China send any victims to that island? You know, China is a populous country, with as many as 1 million people missing every year. It's 1,010,000. John Killen was angry and blamed himself when he thought that some of his compatriots might be suffering torture. If Lin Langxing hadn't accidentally revealed that the female star died due to a strange cause, he might have missed the opportunity to save the people of his country. Brother Lan, now, I will tell you 2 addresses. You must remember them. One is the beach commercial district of Del Portillo Tidal Beach in Granma Province, country G. There is a blind gypsy aunt who sells local handicraft souvenirs. Her name is Saya. If you are in trouble, go to her for help. If she asks you who you are, just say you are a friend of the girl who likes to drive fast cars. John Killen repeated, girls who like to drive fast cars. Chen Ling smiled, yes, this aunt is very interesting. We met by chance, and she likes to let me drive her for a ride. She said that she can catch the wind this way. Although she can't see, she is country G is very powerful. John Killen repeated silently, okay, I'll write it down. Chen Ling added, there is another safe house not far from the beach. Don't worry, I am the only one who knows the location of this safe house. There are many handy toys in it, you can use it as you like. John Killen paused, toy. They are some very lethal weapons. I am there just in case, Chen Ling said, I call my safe house a toy house. I have more than a dozen safe houses. If I have the opportunity in the future, I'll show you around. John Killen was so excited. Who doesn't like this kind of dollhouse, right? Chen Ling returned to the topic and clearly stated the specific location of the dollhouse. The Maestra Mountains of Country G, the specific coordinates are north latitude, 20 degrees 0856 and west longitude, 82 degrees 7322, there is a natural lake. To the northeast of the lake, you will see an abandoned factory. In the southeast corner of the factory, there is an air raid shaft. Climb down. Counting from top to bottom, you can take out the 15th black brick opposite the ladder. You will see a smart password lock. The password is 7862999759. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 355. After unlocking, there is a slide under this black wall. You can push it to the right. I haven't been there for a long time. After opening the wall door, it's best to let in some air for half a minute before going in. I suggest you don't fly directly to Country Y, go to Country G first and get some toys for self-defense. Chen Ling was a little worried and continued to remind him. When encountering a crisis, don't fight hard. It's better to save the Green Mountains and have firewood. Don't forget that your goal this time is to gather intelligence, not to solve them. The Caribbean area is politically turbulent and the management is extremely chaotic. It is a paradise for criminals and a hell for ordinary people. If it was a normal mission, Chen Ling would not be too worried. At least John Killen would have sufficient backup and enough weapons and equipment. But this time, John Killen went out secretly. No one in the bureau knew. That means he has no backup. There will be no weapons and equipment. John Killen originally planned to buy weapons in the underground black market of Country Y. There is a lot of randomness, and it is possible that he can't buy good weapons. Chen Ling provided him with a toy house, which couldn't be more convenient. Okay, I'll change my flight ticket and fly to Country G. I'll take the toys and then take a boat to Country Y. John Killen said, don't worry, I won't show off. I have a clear understanding of my own strength and won't take risks or act impulsively. Chen Ling felt relieved when he heard him say that. In front of the car was the brightly lit airport. John Killen said, I'll be at the airport soon. I'll go to the parking service now. I'll keep in touch with you at any time. Brother Lan, I wish you all the best. Well, I wish you a smooth filming, and be careful of Maz Hekan. After thinking for a while, John Killen added, it's best to remember to keep a distance from other male artists. Chen Ling smiled. This was the first time she smiled all night. I can't say for sure. If you are worried about me, protect yourself, and try to come back early. John Killen hung up the phone, drove the car to the long-term parking garage, and completed the parking procedures. He first went to the counter to refund the flight ticket to Country Y that he had bought before. John Killen asked, when is the next flight to Country G? He checked at the airport counter. Hello, sir. The fastest flight will take off in 40 minutes and is checking in now. John Killen only brought a simple backpack and did not need to check in luggage. So he bought the ticket and rushed to the boarding gate. He boarded the plane smoothly. The two countries are very close to each other, and it only takes 2 or 3 hours to take the ferry. The flight from Fengcheng to Country G takes about 20 hours. Before the plane took off and prompted to shut down, he sent messages to his father and Chen Ling respectively. I have boarded the plane, flight information is XXXX. Finally, he turned off the phone, closed his eyes, leaned on the backrest, and fell asleep quickly. When you can rest, you must rest well. After the plane landed, he had to be extremely careful. It was almost impossible to sleep peacefully and steadily. During the 20-hour flight, John Killen slept all the time except for eating something and going to the toilet. When the plane landed at Juan Guilberto Gomez Airport, VRA, In G country, John Killen was full of energy. After getting off the plane, he rented a car at the airport and located the nearest parking lot to the artificial lake mentioned by Chen Ling. After driving for 2 hours, he arrived at the parking lot. John Killen took out the satellite locator from his backpack, accurately located the longitude and latitude information, and strode into the mountains according to the instructions. Without much effort, he found the abandoned factory next to the natural lake mentioned by Chen Ling. He took out the satellite locator from his backpack, put on his backpack, and walked into the mountains. According to the accurate longitude and latitude information given by Chen Ling, he quickly found the natural lake, and then successfully found the abandoned factory mentioned by Chen Ling. The factory looked like no one had been here for more than 10 years. It was particularly dilapidated, just a pile of ruins with broken bricks and tiles. At this time, it was already dark. John Killen took out a low-light flashlight, held it in his hand, and carefully searched in the ruins. The air raid well appeared in front of him. John Killen took the flashlight and shone it inside. There was a metal ladder beside the well, and the well was very deep and bottomless. There were small bricks on 3 sides, and large bricks opposite the ladder. John Killen bit the flashlight in his mouth and climbed down along the horizontal iron ladder. Chen Ling said, "From top to bottom, the 15th black brick opposite the ladder." John Killen counted while climbing down. He stopped until the 15th brick, hooked the ladder with one hand, took out the flashlight with the other hand, and looked at the 15th brick carefully. He looked around and found the brick that Chen Ling said. This brick is not much different from other bricks. But there are fewer debris on its edges. He picked up the flashlight again, hooked his elbow on the iron bar, freed one hand to grab the brick, and pulled it out without much effort. John Killen adjusted the angle of the flashlight in his mouth to illuminate the gap. Sure enough, there was an electronic combination lock at the back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 356. John Killen transferred the piece of brick to his left hand, which was hooked on the ladder by his elbow. He freed his right hand to press the code on the dirty combination lock. 78629975-9. After pressing the last number, a click sounded somewhere in the wall. The circular unlocking password panel popped open, revealing a black metal handle. John Killen grabbed the black handle and slid it to the right. The circular stone wall slid to one side with a rumbling sound. A dark hole was revealed. John Killen put the brick back. He didn't rush in, but used a flashlight to shine inside while patiently waiting for the turbid air inside to come out. Calculating in his mind that time was almost up, he took a long step and jumped into the corridor. A damp and rotten smell came to him. John Killen circled the corridor with a flashlight. The cave corridor is rough, with several broken emergency lights overhead. It was very quiet here. John Killen could hear his own breathing. He took a flashlight and searched for a week, but couldn't find the light switch, so he groped his way inside. After walking a few steps, he saw a pull cord on the wall, which should be a light switch. He tried pulling. The lights overhead came on. John Killen breathed a sigh of relief, turned off the flashlight, and stuffed it back into his pocket. At the end of the corridor, after turning a corner, a glass door blocked the way. John Killen gently touched the glass door with his hand. This glass door is made of very good material. It is explosion-proof, moisture-proof and dust-proof. Because it was underground, not much dust fell on the glass door. John Killen took out a flashlight and carefully looked around the glass door to make sure there was no damage. Then he used force and pulled the glass door sideways. A flashlight shines into the room, and the light shines on some sharp objects, reflecting a cold light. John Killen walked in, looked at the wall next to the door, and found the light switch. He tried pressing it. The energy-saving rechargeable light above the head flashed for a while and finally turned on. White light spilled down, illuminating everything in the room. After John Killen saw it clearly, he couldn't help but take a breath. The ceiling, walls, and feet of the hut of about 20 to 30 square meters are all covered with moisture-proof linoleum. From the corner to the top of the wall, there were stainless steel shelves, filled with weapons. Cold weapons include various daggers, scimitars, long knives, bayonets, etc. There are new grenades, lighter-style bombs, small-time bombs disguised as plastic toys, remote-controlled bombs, etc. The other wall is full of firearms. There are exquisite and small guns that look like children's toys, easy to hide and dismantle, various classic pistols, single-barrel guns disguised as umbrellas, and sniper rifles with scopes. There are also muscle firearms such as heavy machine guns for strafing. The glass cabinet in the corner is full of bullets of all kinds. Due to special reasons, this picture cannot be uploaded. This is simply a paradise for weapons lovers. Wow! John Killen couldn't help lowering his voice and sighing with emotion. He looked around one by one, then put down his backpack, unzipped it, and stuffed weapons inside. Until the backpack was full, the pockets of his clothes were filled with all kinds of novel and compact firearms. There were several rounds of bullets wrapped around his waist and chest, a small dagger was fastened to his boots, and 2 portable pistols were inserted into his waist. When he climbed out of the air raid shelter with satisfaction, the weight on his body exceeded 30 kilograms. But John Killen didn't feel heavy at all, but felt much more at ease. In a chaotic country without any order or law, nothing can make people feel more secure than weapons. It wasn't until he returned to the parking lot and got into his car that the weak signal on his cell phone resumed. He sent a message to Chen Ling. "Lan, I took away a lot of toys. Awesome, you are simply the king of toys." "Ling, hee, what is this? The dollhouse you went to can only be considered as a low-cost one. If I have the opportunity to take you to see a dollhouse in Italy, that would be a blessing." Lan, drooling.jpg. "Ling, what's mine is yours from now on, all the toys in the dollhouse are yours." Lan, I knelt down to thank Queen Ling for her grace. Ling, Xiao Lanzi, no need to be polite. Ling, when will you leave for country? Why? Lan, I'm going to return the car now, and then go to the port to take the boat. John Killen looked at the time and calculated the time in Maple City. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning in Maple City. He knew that Chen Ling was not asleep. She was waiting for him to find the dollhouse safely. Lan, it's getting late, Xiao Lanzi will kneel down to his master now. Chen Ling, who was lying on the bed, couldn't help but laugh. Brother Lan can be quite naughty sometimes. Ling, the road conditions in country G are average. You drive late at night and be careful. Send me a message when you have time. Lan, don't worry, go to sleep now. Chen Ling smiled and whispered into the phone, "Good night, Brother Lan." She put her phone next to her pillow and fell asleep. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 357. John Killen put down his phone and drove forward. In front of you is a wide and deserted road. The street lights shine on the green plants with wide leaves on the roadside, and a strong island atmosphere comes to you. Country G is close to the Caribbean Sea, and the air is moist and refreshing. It rained during the day, and there were no clouds in the sky. John Killen could see the stars all over the sky. But John Killen was in no mood to enjoy the scenery. Father and Chen Ling teamed up to make a surprise inspection of the KTV. The purpose is to deceive the mole. Because Maple City can be said to be the most strictly managed city in China. However, such a KTV full of ugliness and evil has managed to survive in Maple City for so many years, without even a single surprise inspection finding anything wrong. Someone must have tipped off the news in advance. Or after the inspection revealed problems, someone put in a good word for the KTV or covered up the facts of the crime. Defense day and night, it is difficult to guard against house thieves. Everything was as Cheng Ling expected. Just after the entire KTV was taken down, Jiang's father received a call. The person who made this call was Wang Delun, Zhang Qilan's instructor when he was a Special Forces soldier. Instructor Wang Delun is a very serious and responsible instructor, and can even be said to be strict. He is knowledgeable, upright, and has never engaged in malpractice for personal gain. Even if he knew Zhang Qilan's identity, Instructor Wang had never opened any backdoors to Zhang Qilan. Therefore, Zhang Qilan respected him very much. While serving in the army, Instructor Wang mainly taught the Special Forces soldiers communication security. Later, Instructor Wang was promoted. He became a team leader of the Khmer Special Security Bureau and is currently responsible for domestic communications security management. They can be regarded as Zhang Qilan's colleagues in different departments. Zhang Qilan later had a higher official position than Wang Delun, but Zhang Qilan still respectfully addressed him as Instructor Wang every time. Occasionally we met in the cafeteria and would eat together. Wang Delun dresses simply and is low-key. He usually works diligently and everyone says he takes care of his family and is a model husband who loves his wife and children. Why did Wang Delun switch sides? But is Wang Delun the only mole? If there is more than one mole, then is Wang Delun the highest ranking among the moles? I can only rely on my father to check these. What Zhang Qilan can do at this moment is to concentrate on tracing all the interactions with Wang Delun. Include every conversation between the two. Including conversations between Wang Delun and others. Including Wang Delun's abnormal behavior and so on. It is difficult for ordinary people to trace back conversations and actions. Some people can completely forget the content of the conversation just after hanging up the phone. But for Zhang Qilan, tracing this matter is easy. Speaking of which, I have to thank Father Zhang. Father Zhang played the retrospective game with Zhang Qilan and Zhang Qiun when they were very young. The earliest is to ask them to recall a certain action of someone yesterday, or to ask them to describe the objects in a certain scene. For example, what did Aunt Zhang, the Zhang family's nanny, say to the housekeeper at noon yesterday? Or, what kind of drinks were in the refrigerator yesterday? How many bottles of each were there? Zhang Qiun is most afraid of playing this game and always hides whenever he can. But Zhang Qilan enjoyed it. Later, Father Zhang increased the difficulty of the retrospective game. Zhang Qilan's progress is extremely fast. When Zhang Qilan was 12 years old, Jiang's father's questions could no longer stump Zhang Qilan. Zhang Qilan has acquired an excellent ability to trace relevant events and characters. However, Wang Delun and Zhang Qilan had many interactions, and it would take a lot of time to trace them all. Fortunately, Zhang Qilan has time now. He wants to return the car, take a ride to the nearest port, and then take a boat to country Y. It takes about 4 or 5 hours. Arriving at the airport, Zhang Qilan paid the fee and returned the car smoothly. After leaving the airport, I found a car picking up passengers in the fit area. The driver is a local. "Sir, where are you going?" the driver asked. Zhang Qilan handed over a 100 real note and said in standard Portuguese, "I'm going to the port of Recife." "Thank you." The port of Recife is about 14 kilometers away from the current international airport. The official language of country G is Portuguese. The driver took the note and hesitated for a moment. Zhang Qilan exudes a temperament that is not easy to mess with. Zhang Qilan added, "No more money, I'm on my way." The driver's eyes lit up. "This journey costs up to $15. The driver wants to take a detour so he can make more money." Zhang Qilan guessed his thoughts. The driver happily took Zhang Qilan and drove all the way to the port. The port is busy and noisy at 3 or 4 in the morning. There are fishing boats everywhere here. The driver said, "Sir, if you want to take a cruise, I'm afraid now is not the time. There are only cargo ships and fishing boats now." John Killen said calmly, "Thank you, I understand. Please let me down in front." Of course he knew that at this time there were mostly fishing boats and cargo ships, not cruise ships. Because he can't take the cruise. After all, there is no way he could pass the security check with such toys. The driver arrived at the designated location. John Killen got out of the car and closed the door. The driver rolled down the window, leaned over and said to John Killen, "Sir, people are more important than money. Please remember this." After that, the driver smoothly reversed the car, turned the steering wheel, and drove away. And John Killen stood at the dock. Countless searchlights shone on him. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 358. These searchlights were all projected from the ships moored at the dock. The high-wattage searchlights illuminated John Killen, who was standing at the dock, with a bright and clear body. The sudden strong light made John Killen squint slightly. People's aesthetics are not divided by race. John Killen was born with cold white skin, black and fluffy hair, deep eyebrows, and long eyelashes covering his dark eyes. He was tall, well-built, with straight shoulders and excellent temperament. Even in this situation, he did not lose his bearing. Standing there, he was like a young man from a rich family who was ignorant of the world and at the mercy of others. At 3 or 4 in the morning, the port was crowded with cargo ships and fishing boats from all continents. The delivery workers and fishermen, with their faces full of flesh, bare arms, and bare chests, had dark skin that was exposed to the sun all year round, wet with sweat, emitting a shiny light, and looked extremely rough. It was in sharp contrast to John Killen standing under the lights. It was like a tender white lamb caught in a pack of wolves. At this time, there were no police to maintain public security and order at the port, let alone administrators. Even if a policeman passed by and saw this scene, he would immediately turn around and leave. Who dared to argue with these people who were more vicious than robbers? No one. These fishermen would collude with their accomplices to solicit customers at nearby airports or urban areas and bring tourists here. There would also be ignorant tourists who were lost, wanted to explore the new world, wanted to watch the sunrise at the seaside, and wanted to buy fresh seafood, and took the initiative to go to the dock. Then, they were surrounded by them and threatened to pay money. Where had the tourists ever seen such a scene? They cried to the sky and the earth, but no one answered. They were so scared that their legs were spinning, and they honestly paid money to avoid disaster. And the purpose of these fishermen and workers was money. They also didn't want to cause a murder case, so as to avoid the police coming to find trouble. So, the tourists paid money and were sent back to the city. When they arrived in the city, they immediately ran to the police station to report the case. This kind of thing happens almost every day. The police were too lazy to care and just recorded the case perfunctorily. There will never be a day when the case is solved. "Brother," a black cargo worker shouted in English, "take out the valuables on you, we won't make it difficult for you." The snow-white and shining searchlight shone on John Killen's cheeks, almost as if they were transparent. He was neither panicked nor angry. Hearing the black man's shouting, John Killen did not move. The people on the dock exchanged glances with each other. Didn't they understand English? "Hand over the money and we will let you go," a single-lidded curly-haired Asian man shouted. John Killen remained quiet. A real man should not make the wrong choice for small interests. "Put down the valuables and we won't touch you," a man with a crew cut shouted. John Killen still did not move. The people on the dock gradually became anxious. A tall, muscular man of black and white blood was the first to lose his temper. He stepped off the boat, stood on the dock, and walked towards John Killen. He stood in front of John Killen. John Killen finally reacted. He raised his head and looked at the man in front of him expressionlessly. The muscular man said in Portuguese, "Don't force me to do it." John Killen didn't move. "FK," the muscular man cursed. Then, without any warning, the muscular man swung his fist and hit John Killen's chest with force. These cargo workers carry heavy objects all year round, and their muscles are really strong. This punch can make the hood of a car dent. But John Killen didn't panic at all. When the fist was about to hit his chest, John Killen turned sideways, grabbed the muscular man's fist with both hands, and pulled it lightly. This pull was in line with the muscular man's strength. The muscular man's punch was originally powerful, and not only did it miss, but John Killen also gave him a force. The muscular man instantly lost his balance and staggered to his knees. The next moment, he felt a chill on his neck. John Killen pulled out a half-moon Damascus scimitar from somewhere. One side of the scimitar was tightly pressed against the lower end of the muscular man's Adam's apple. The cold breath of the cold weapon was terrifying. The muscular man was so scared that he didn't move. He didn't even dare to swallow. He was afraid that his Adam's apple would roll and the sharp knife would cut his Adam's apple. Everyone was shocked. The atmosphere at the dock instantly became tense. However, the next moment, John Killen suddenly turned his wrist and put the scimitar back. He reached out and helped the muscular man who was kneeling on the ground up. The muscular man looked shocked. Then, John Killen said politely in Portuguese, "Brothers, I just came to borrow a boat to go somewhere, not to cause trouble for you. Please give me a favor." Everyone at the dock was silent. John Killen took out a stack of 100 Brazilian reals from his pocket. "This is my ticket." He said this to a certain boat. It was a rather old fishing boat. Under the mast of the fishing boat sat an old man. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 359. John Killen's hand is very beautiful. This shows that he did not enter accidentally, but came here on purpose. He also showed off his outstanding skills and made the other party fear him. Then, he showed his sincerity. Not only did he not hurt the muscular man, he also prepared such a wad of money to buy travel expenses. Moreover, in this situation, he could recognize the boss here at a glance. The old man had a cigarette in his mouth, and the flame of the cigarette flickered on and off in the darkness. John Killen held the money in one hand and looked at the old man fearlessly. The old man should have Indian ancestry, brown skin, small eyes, a high and wide nose bridge, thick lips, thick eyebrows, and gray hair. The marina is quiet. There was only the sound of the waves, crashing, crashing, hitting the ship one after another. The ship rocked and creaked. The old man quietly finished the remaining cigarette. After taking a deep breath, the flames reached the filter. The old man spat the cigarette butt onto the board with his side face, and used his large black water boots to stamp out the flames. Then he stood up. He is not tall, but has a strong sense of oppression. You are very brave, the old man finally spoke. His voice was low, like heavy gravel grinding through one's ear canal. Then, the old man pointed at John Killen's lower back. If I don't accept the ticket, do you want to blow up this place? The old man said. When John Killen took the money, he skillfully lifted up the hem of his shirt, revealing several grenades tied around his waist. A grenade capable of blowing up everything here. Of course, just for a moment. Most people present didn't see it. But the old man will not miss it. Years of sailing and fishing have given the old man a special pair of eyes. The old man floats in the depths of the ocean to catch fish all year round, often staring at the bottomless sea. When a school of fish swims by in the deep sea, the fish's scales will reflect sunlight. The bright light was weakened by the thick sea water and was very dim, making it difficult for the human eye to capture it. The grenade was black, and when the light hit it, the refracted light was weak and short-lived. However, these lights are for people with special needs. The old man saw the light of the grenade. He also understood what John Killen meant. John Killen was neither humble nor arrogant. No, if I am rejected, then I will find other ways. As for me, he almost said toy. If you talk about toys at this time, if the other party really thinks it is a toy, it will be troublesome. John Killen braked in time. Weapons are for self-defense. They are not meant to force others to serve me. The old man jumped lightly and jumped onto the pier. He was wearing a gray vest with no visible original color and several holes in it. The muscles on his chest and arms are all silky, which shows that his body fat rate is extremely low. The old man's steps were strong and he quickly walked to John Killen. "Where are you going?" he asked. John Killen lowered his voice and said, "Country, why?" The old man frowned. "What are you doing there?" "Find someone." The old man stared at John Killen with sharp eyes, looking up and down very slowly. The whites of his eyes were very white and the pupils were small, making him look a little scary. "That dark blue cargo ship over there is bound for country. Why?" The old man raised his chin in a certain direction. "It will leave in a while. You can just get on the ship." John Killen bowed slightly and stretched out the wad of money in front of the old man. "Thank you. Please accept my ticket." The old man stretched out his rough and cracked right index finger, pressed it on the edge of the bill, and pushed it back. He said, "Someone has already paid for your ferry ticket. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment." Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 360. "Have you paid?" John Killen was stunned. He asked the old man, "Is it that friend who drives very fast?" "Driving very fast?" The old man shook his head. "He was my friend who helped me get my tribe's scalp back." Scalp? Indians? John Killen realized. In fact, the latitudes of America and Asia are roughly similar. It stands to reason that America should have more people with yellow skin. Indians are yellow people, very similar to Asians. However, America is now dominated by white people. The original yellow race accounted for less than 5,000ths. This is because after the white people arrived in the Americas, they launched a massacre of the local indigenous Indians. But not all white people are bloodthirsty. Especially the Indian children, they couldn't do anything. So, the smart white commander came up with a very good idea. As long as you pay the Indian scalp, you can receive a high bounty. Especially the scalp of a young Indian child under the age of 12 is worth $100, which is more expensive than an adult man's $80. There is a song that everyone now sings as a nursery rhyme. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. 1, 2, 3 Indians. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Indians. 4, 5, 6 Indians. 7 little, 8 little, 9 little Indians. 7, 8, 9 Indians. 10 little Indians kids. 10 Indian children. Imagine 10 innocent Indian children tied up waiting to be scalped alive. The crazed white man had greed in his eyes and a sharp knife in his hand. He pointed the tip of his knife at the children and counted them one by one. 1, 2, 3, 10, 10 scalps. The most heartbreaking thing is, scalping is originally an Indian custom. In Indian culture, scalping was used to deal with enemies or for sacrifice. They believe that the scalp is closely connected to the human soul. Scalping off the enemy's scalp can mean the complete elimination of the enemy. You can also use the enemy's scalp to appease the resentment of losing relatives and friends, which means revenge. These invaders had 100 ways to kill the Indians. But they don't use it. The invaders wanted to use Indian customs to curse the Indians. There are methods for scalping, and fees will be deducted for incomplete scalps. If you want to peel off a complete scalp, you have to grab the hair while the Indian is still alive, use a sharp knife to cut off the entire scalp ring around the ears. Moreover, the blade must cut into the skull so that the scalp and skull are better separated. This old man is a descendant of an Indian tribal leader. When the invaders purged the yellow race in America, they were lucky enough to survive. "How did that friend help you?" John Killen asked. He added, "Of course, you don't need to tell me, I can just ask that friend directly." The distinguished friend said, "I can tell you everything you want to know." The old man made a gesture of invitation, "I will take you on board, and we will talk as we go." John Killen followed the old man. The crowd on the pier dispersed, started shouting slogans again, and started carrying things enthusiastically. "I am the last survivor of the Pescatomutti family in Passamaquoddy," the old man said. "My family was once the most prosperous family in the United States. On the soil of the United States, the number of Indians once reached more than 5 million. Now there are only 800,000. Some unscrupulous scholars in Europe and the United States fabricated the story that Indians died in large numbers because we had no ability to resist the infectious diseases they brought. That's why the population dropped off a cliff. Actually, they wanted to cover up the massacre against us. In 1930, after the massacre ended, the United States passed a project called the Indian Health Service." The old man smiled sarcastically. "This is not a medical service," he said, "but a forced sterilization of surviving Indian women. The method is extremely cruel, unhygienic, and unsafe. Many women have died due to unscientific and unhygienic sterilization. By the 1970s, nearly half of Indian women had been forcibly sterilized. My mother was lucky enough to escape the sterilization operation. Once, a European collector heard about my surname and indirectly learned about how my family died. He specially invited me to his collection room and showed me the scalps of my people. The European aristocratic collector showed off and said, 'Look, how complete it is. After such a long time, the hair is still black and shiny.' The old man's tone was desolate. Of course I couldn't swallow this breath, so I decided to fight him to the death. I don't know what method this friend used, but he actually forced the collector to give me a whole collection room of hundreds of scalps of his clansmen for free, and he apologized to me repeatedly. His attitude cannot be simply described as sincere, but rather panic-stricken. I guess this friend must have grasped the weakness of this noble. I accepted this gift and owed this friend a favor. However, I don't even know this friend's real name or what he looks like.